All right, we're in the opening of a film clip that we found in the Business and Media Archives collection. And as you can see, they're going into the Pennsylvania Station, which is part of the Pennsylvania Railroad on West Federal Street, now Martin Luther King Boulevard. This is about 1959 or 1960. And you can see down below West Federal Street, you had the train platforms right along the tracks there, and everybody parked their cars there. And here you see the guests for this train tour of the city, where they're going to go up and down on both sides of the river through the city, looking at all the industrial sites along the way. And they're boarding passenger cars. There's a look at one of the locomotives. This is a Pennsylvania Railroad train. And here they are underway, leaving Pennsylvania Station. And there's the platform looking, I don't know, that's probably the locomotive pushing at that point. There you can see the chimney that used to be on the Pennsylvania Station with the Pennsylvania Railroad logo on it. And here they are leaving the station and going toward the Market Street Viaduct. This is a bridge that was built in 1899, survived till 1983, and here's another. I think that's the original, or one of the older South Avenue bridges there that crossed the river a little farther down from Market Street. And here we are coming into a railroad yard, probably Republic steel at that point. And the structure by the big mound of iron ore there is called an ore bridge. And here's a shot inside the train cars, the passenger cars, and that's the coke plant, which I believe is part of Republic Steel Corporation. And now we're past Republic's plants and going past the Youngstown Sheet and Tube Company's Camel Works. At this point, tracks run right along Poland Avenue, going out of Youngstown and into the city of Struthers. And there's more of the Youngstown Sheet and Tube Camel Works complex there. You can see it plainly. The company name on the side of that one mill shed. That is the open hearth department for the Camel Works. That shot is also that shed with the smokestacks, and then right at the end there is the hot metal mixer building. And you can see a series of bridges that went into the plant from Poland Avenue for car and pedestrian traffic, but also for railroads. And there's 3 of the 4 blast furnaces. There's the 4th one right there. And this is the coke plant at Camel Works, right in the city of Struthers. We have an extended view of the coke plant right there, where they converted coal into coke, which was the fuel for the blast furnaces. That's Bridge Street in downtown Struthers. We just went by, and then you're looking at the Struthers portion of the Sheet and Tube Works, called the Struthers Works. They had several mills and steelmaking machines over there as well. And not quite sure where that is. Here you can see the locomotives are now pulling the train rather than pushing it. And we're coming underneath a bridge and out into an open area. I believe this is down more in Lowellville, where they're going through right now. And there were a lot of tracks there running on both sides and across the river. At this point, Sharon Steel Corporation was still running a plant down in Lowellville, though it would be shut down in a couple years' time. And here's the engineer inside the cab of the locomotive. Based on the photos I saw, well, here you're looking at one of the yards. That's the P&LE classification yard, which is between Struthers and Lowellville. And this is a huge operation as far as changing cars and assigning them to different trains. And there's the main building for the classification yard, and then that berm with on the top there is called the hump. And what they did is they pushed cars up over the hump and then down by gravity into the classification yard below, and then they had a series of switches that put them on the right track. We're coming back now into Struthers and Camel, and that looks like Youngstown Sheet and Tube's blast furnace, probably the D blast furnace right there. Yeah, there's three of the four, and now we're going past the blast furnaces, and here's further out in a yard looking back at Sheet and Tube's Camel Works. That's probably one of the tube mills there. And they're continuing along. This is actually looking like a service yard for locomotives and cars. There were numerous yards along the way by the plants where they stored and moved cars in and out with raw materials and other supplies going into the various mills. And here we are back inside the passenger cars as the trip continues, this time on the north side of the river going back toward Youngstown. That's the skyline in the background. Right now the train is pulling into the P&LE, Pittsburgh and Lake Erie and New York Central Station, which used to be right along Wilson Avenue near the Cedar Street Bridge there. Here we're in downtown on the Erie Road tracks, and you can see what's called a pigeonhole parking deck that they had there, where they actually lifted cars and put them into parking spots. And now we've moved further on into the Briar Hill Works. That's the Jeanette blast furnace that you see, and right next to it is the Grace blast furnace, and then there's the open hearth mill shed for the Sheet and Tube Briar Hill Works. I think they're going through the other mill portion along Briar Hill there, and probably going to cross over pretty soon and head back. Yeah, there's more of Youngstown Sheet and Tube Briar Hill Works there. That's right along Division Street. And there's some pipe yards where they're storing seamless pipe that they made, an old water tower from a service center and a gatehouse along the railroad tracks. And now I think we're back on the opposite side of the river. Well, crossing the river right there. And looks like a probably spring day. The trees don't look entirely leafed out yet, so that would probably put it in early May. Heading back toward town, you can see the skyline in the middle there. There's the river and another railroad bridge there. There's the Lake Erie and Eastern line up above. They're now on the B&O Railroad line running through town, and they're crossing underneath the Lake Erie and Eastern, and just past a local freight train. There's the B&O station when it was still active as a passenger station with service out of Youngstown, and you can see the sheds for the people to stand under while they were waiting for trains to come in. There's the Mahoning Avenue or Spring Common Bridge. Look at all the cars parked alongside of there for people that worked in downtown, and you can see Home Savings building in the background. And here we are coming back on the Market Street Viaduct. This time we're on the south bank of the river, and you can see that bluff, which goes almost straight up from the river, which was called Pine Hill or Impassable Ridge. And there's a train moving past and soon to be underneath the South Avenue Bridge. And that's part of, actually there's the Bessemer Converter, part of the Republic Steel Corporation plant in downtown Youngstown, which was between the Market Street and South Avenue bridges. And this time they're heading out again, I think toward Republic Steel Corporation. There's a woman inside the switch house, and this, I believe, is right underneath the Center Street Bridge. It's a crossing where all four of the major trunk lines that served Youngstown crossed. So that's B&O, Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh and Lake Erie, and the Erie Railroad. And here we are right at the end. And this is another interesting find from the collections of the Business and Media Archives of Mahoning Valley.